Okay guys, I'm not getting out a proper video camera to do this, but I've stripped the room out. That's that's the old room. I've stripped it out. There's just a couple of storage boxes left in here and my 19-inch rack. And there's that one shelf left up there, which has to come down. So this entire ceiling shelving system that I built out of wood originally, all down there and then across there, and that vertical upright and this work surface, that's all coming out, and a new work surface is going to be put on the other side of the room. Okay, so that's that work surface taken out. And that's the battening. I'm going to reuse all that battening, so I'm going to get that out now. As you can see, there's going to be quite a few holes to fill. Okay, so get that battening out, and then get this shelf here, get that all down. Next job, here we go, let's get that done. Right, that's all out then, so the shelves are out all the way around, work surfaces out, it's all done, and there's the timber I've got left over. So I've actually got, let me put the light on, I've actually got quite a bit of MDF. There's this panel here, I've got to remove that upright from it, but there's this whole panel here I can use, and then 3/4 MDF is 50 quid a sheet now. Then there's this big panel there that I can use as well, and then that panel needs to be unscrewed from the frame. It's fixed to the frame, but so I've got a fair bit of 3/4 MDF. Might even be enough to do the shelf all the way along there and then across there, and I might not need to buy a sheet. Anyways, there we are. It's so weird because it's so echoey and ambient in here now without anything in it. But there it is. Okay, so here we are. I painted the room, gave it a couple of coats, ceiling as well and everything. But it's been a right pain working around all this stuff because there's no room anywhere in the flat for the rack, or those 4 pieces of flat wood, all these storage boxes. There's just nowhere else in the flat to have them, so I've been painting around these. It's been a nightmare. But I got it all nice and white, although that wall needs another coat. You can't see it, but it needs another coat. This wall here needs another coat. And there's damage now from where I've put the scaffold pole up. That's just what metal does to paint. So basically I've put the scaffold across. So there's this one bit of scaffold here, bridges right across the room. Then that second piece comes out at an angle and joins on like that. And that makes an L-shaped shelf. So the shelf comes along here and then goes all along the length of the room to there. And then under here is going to be a longer workbench. And the workbench is going to go from this door frame all the way to that far wall, exactly underneath that pole. So the bench will be along here. Then the rack's going to go in that corner, and the mixer's going to go along this wall here, and it'll come to about where that plug is. Next thing I've got to do is just get all this absolutely level, and then I can start screwing it into the wall. Then start putting the flat panels on it, and I've got to put the battening along the back, obviously, to support the back of the shelves. Okay, let's get that sorted then. Okay, so here we are. Shelving system's all in. I'll put foam along the front, so there's a gap. The shelves rest on the big foam tubes. These are heavy duty foam tubes. Yeah, and there's a gap, which means all the way along here, if I want, all the way along here I can put cable ties and bring cables along here, anything I want, and more across there. Okay, so there you go. That's that one pole, goes from that wall all the way across the length of the room to there. And then that one comes across at an angle from that wall, and it's connected with this T-junction there. I've got to just do some trimming up and finishing, like some foam has to go under here to give these some nice soft support there. I've got to screw the back of these into the battening so it's closed down nicely there. Got to put a strip across here, going to be a piece of wood that goes across there to keep these together nice and flat. and generally, you know, that's going to be screwed down so there won't be a gap and things. In the centre here, this pole going across, that is nearly 4 meters. So this is a standard 48mm scaffold pole, but it does have a little bit of flex in the middle. So I'll put these reinforcing big brackets here to give extra support to the centre of the shelf here. So that, you know, I'm not going to put the really heavy stuff in the middle, storage up there, but I'll just stop it bowing. I don't want this thing bowing. I want it to be nice and straight. So that's all done. The workbench is in. Way more workbench, and I've put legs like that so it doesn't, you know, the floor's free underneath. The only problem is I've put one leg there and I've put one leg there, but there's not one in the middle. And I'm thinking that this is nearly 4 meters long and it might bow, it might dip in the middle over time. But I don't really want to put another one of those legs in the middle, because then you can't scoot up and down on a chair with casters, do you know what I mean? Up and down like you would up and down a console when you're working on the bench. So anyway, we'll see. I might put a big shelf bracket right in the middle to support the centre. You wouldn't see it. Anyway, that's in. So we've got loads of workspace now, bench space, for putting bits of gear on and stuff. And I'm going to keep it really clear this time. Monitor speakers are going to go on the wall on brackets, so as little stuff on the work surface as possible. It's just some stuff I've chucked on there now while I'm doing a few things. So yeah, and that's all that. And then what I've done now is I've got the rack cleaned and set up, and I've just chucked some gear in it to get it all out of the way. Now all this gear previously was up on the shelves occupying space, and none of that is going to be on the shelves now. So yeah, I need to get a bit of extra rack strip to bring this down a bit further, because all the patch bays have to go in yet and everything like that. Plus I want to put that DAT down the bottom in it. Yeah, and then the mixer is going to go along that wall there. So I'm hoping that the loom from the patch base for the rack will reach all the way and along the mixer here. If it doesn't, we have to rewire that from scratch. But anyway, there it is. So there'll be space in there. I think it's going to be laid out quite good. I mean, these boxes won't be there, so there'll be space to sit and things either side of the rack. There's a fair bit of floor space available. Lots and lots of storage space up there. And I'm going to come back and show you, I'm building some keyboard racks up there to put all keyboards and synths on, so they can be stacked vertically, but on brackets on the wall. I'll show you that, and if you think it's a good idea, you can go out and do it in your own place really cheap, but I'll come back and show you that in another update. Okay, so that's where we are. This is just that old mixer line there, just to get it out of the way. So yeah, then when it's set up, we can start doing lots of hardware and door integration tutorials, you know, and start doing classical sound recording tutorials and everything, because we've got the big mixer to go in and all that. I've got an old 8-track there, which is fine for doing the tutorials. I think there's a friend who's going to be lending me a hard disk based like Fostex or Tascam 8-track as well, but that's fine what you need to show all the principles of sound recording, to do all the tutorials and stuff. Yeah. Okay, so there you go. That's where we are so far, and it's looking really neat and tidy. I'll see you soon. Okay, so just to show you the rack thing I built to put the keyboards on, I use this type of shelving, yeah, you know, the one where you slot the shelving brackets in, and I use that, some strips of that in combination with 37mm length brackets. And then what I've done is I've done it like that. Can you see that? You can't really see the rails behind, but 2 brackets spaced about 60 centimeters apart, and then you can put the brackets to make the gap you want between, and then you just put the keyboards across as if the keyboards were a shelf, and they just sit like that. Now I've done it up here above the shelf, so I can stack the keyboards without them sitting on top of each other and squashing or damaging each other, you know, because otherwise I'd have to wrap them in bubble wrap and pile them on top of each other, but they had to go somewhere. So they're like that, yeah. So it's an easy way to make a rack. Now if you did it down normal level, you know, you could space them with a bigger gap. But anyway, that's some space for the keyboards up there, and then you know, there's not much gap, so only shallow things can go underneath. And I've got room at the front to put some more things along the front of the shelf. And I've got all the shelf there, that's mostly building bits and bobs on there. Okay, so yeah, that's the last bit of that, and then all I've got to do is just, you know, anything else I want to store up there, I can just store up there. Next thing to do is to get the patch bays in, and the mixer is the next big thing. I've got to build a frame to put it along that wall. Then I've got to get the patch bays in and see if the looms reach the mixer, which I suspect they won't, in which case I'm going to have to get myself you know, 100-metre drum of installation flex and wire the patch bays all over again from scratch. Or those patch bays have been in storage for a while in not ideal conditions, so I might even have to buy new patch bays. I don't know. We'll have to see the state of things when I get it out of storage. Okay, but that's the story so far. Okay.